Mr. Jungle Boy, Mr. Boy, how have you been enjoying Manchester so far?
It's been great. It's been, how long have we been here? Like a day, 24 hours. And I've been asleep for a lot of that, but it's been good.
Rest is important. Yeah. Anna, have you had a chance to see much of Manchester yet?
Me? We walked around a little bit. Where'd we go? The North Square Quarter. We went to a cool bar. Yeah, it's been cool.
Seen the sights? How about you girls? Have you seen anything cool yet?
I was with him, and yeah, we went to, I think it was called the Northern Quarter. That was cool. We went to, like he said, a cool bar called The Alchemist, which was really cool as well. And yeah, this is my first time here ever, so it's been good so far.
I saw the inside of my hotel room. I've been sleeping pretty
What's
much
it like?
since I landed. Yeah, it's a nice hotel room.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I'm not mad about it. I've been to Manchester before, and I've always been a big fan of it here. So I've seen a lot of it, but yeah, I definitely Uber Eats and stayed in my hotel room since I've been here.
Well, if they've seen any parts of Manchester, they went to a bar. Round of applause for that. That's how we do it here in the UK, go into a pub, well done. Well, I'll start with you, Ruby, because Ruby and I met at Shine Wrestling, which was female fantastic fun, full frontal frivolity over at Shine Wrestling. You've been in many a locker room. What's AEW been like for you in terms of your coworkers and the vibe backstage?
It's really honestly motivating, and it's really amazing because the women that we have in our locker room are always hungry, and they really, really deliver every single opportunity they have, whether it's 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, the beginning of the show or the main event. Like, they always bust their ass, and it's really, really motivating and inspiring to see. And we just have a great group of girls right now that I'm really honored to be able to work with.
How about you guys? How's the locker room and the whole vibe backstage at AEW for you?
Yeah, I agree with what she said. I think, especially with the women, we take what we get and we make the best of it, and we're kind of all on the same page and all on the same team. So I love it, and you know, Ruby's great too. She's okay.
She's okay. Direct quote. How's it been for you?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, the vibes are pretty good. We got a lot of talented people. I love being in the women's locker room. It's great energy.
Good. Love to hear that. Are they jealous that your hair is better than anyone else's hair?
Probably.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
Round of applause for this majestic mane that I cannot take my eyes off. Round of applause. I mean, that must be a lot of upkeep. Before anyone else asks, any hair secrets? I mean, we're all wondering.
No, it's just shampoo and conditioner.
Damn you.
Yeah.
So unfair. Well, Ruby, I'll start with you again here. So, you know, a lot of fans are fans of a lot of different promotions. Impact Wrestling, WWE, we're in the Progress Wrestling ring here, the premier UK promotion. And I will tell you that they're all different, but we'll go down the line. We'll start with you, Ruby. What do you think it is about AEW that stands out amongst the rest?
I think with AEW, I think our fans are just as big of a part of the show as we are. We are very fan interactive, and we listen to our fans. So I think that comes across on our product with every show, because every show our fans are from start to finish. And sometimes they sit through a lot of wrestling, and from start to finish, they're always loud and interactive and everything. And I think when we come to the UK from Wembley Stadium, I think it's going to show, because the UK fans are the most interactive fans that I have ever been in front of. I'm in awe of you guys most of the time, because y'all somehow manage to sing the same song all the time. I don't know how it happens, but I think that's going to come across when we come to Wembley, because the UK fans are always such a huge part of the show, and I think it's going to really bring out an extra excitement for the people that are on the show itself.
Well said, well said. Anna and Jungle Boy, same question for you. You know, what is it about AEW that sort of stands out amongst the others?
I would say, as far as my experience, just having fun. Like, for example, I'm sure a lot of you have seen BTE. You know, in the Dark Order days, that was probably some of the most fun that I've had in wrestling, period. So I think having fun and kind of enjoying what we do, and being able to enjoy what we do, and having say in what we do, I would say that's what stands out to me, at least.
What is it about AEW that stands out amongst other promotions?
I think honestly, and maybe it's a little biased, I think it's the best wrestling that you're going to see on TV in any given week in terms of what happens in the ring, which I'm still a fan of. I know a lot of people like to see 30-minute musical segments and whatnot, but I think the wrestling's pretty good.
Very well said. Well, we'll start with you if you don't mind. We'll go down this way. And again, get those questions ready because we're going to go to you guys and make this an interactive Q&A. But another question from me. When you were growing up, I mean, we have so many different people here that possibly you guys have looked up to. We've got Kevin Nash here, Big Show, Booker T, and Sharmell. When you were growing up, who inspired you, and are any of the people that inspired you a part of this convention? And yes, they're listening. No pressure.
Yeah, you kind of put me on the spot. I mean, yeah, when I was a kid, my favorite was John Cena. I feel like all the kids my age were into that. He didn't necessarily like inspire me because I knew I was never going to be like 350 pounds or whatever, but the Big Show was a big deal when I was a kid. And not only is he here somewhere, I don't see him, but he at AEW actually has been a lot of help to me, which I wouldn't really expect because we're not wrestling in the same style, and I kind of would have thought he would have only been inclined to help bigger guys, but he's actually helped me a lot, so.
I would say the Bella Twins, and I've said that tons of times before. They are just basically who got, yeah, there we go.
There's a one-man chant for you, Anna Jay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
God bless you.
Yeah, I mean, they are who got me into it and kind of who made me believe that this is something I could do. And yeah, I still love those girls to this day, and I got to meet both of them, which was really cool for me as well. I would say guy-wise, also John Cena. It was kind of in that time frame that I was watching wrestling, so him, Randy Orton, Bella Twins, all of those, that group.
Probably the one that sticks out to me the most was Rey Mysterio, because I was smaller and watching him really just perform some of the most athletic things and these crazy feats and go up against these bigger guys like was something that I was super drawn to. Granted, I am not capable of even close to any of those athletic feats, but he was somebody that just caught my eye when it came to wrestling. As far as women go, Jazz is like one of my all-time favorites because everything that she did whenever I watched her looked brutal. Like she looked like she was beating the smack out of those girls. And so I was super inspired by her. And then I met her and she's one of the most lovely people I've ever met in my life. So yeah, those are two that were really, really big with me when I first started watching it.
Jazz don't play, that's for sure. But again, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Well, I think a common misconception, we've been talking about this here on the main stage today about how, a lot of inspiring stories we've heard and a lot of people are up and coming wrestlers or they'd like to be. How did getting into AEW work for all of you? How was the process? How did the opportunity come for you? I'll start with you, Ruby, because I know firsthand, hearing your amazing career, being a part of, to see some of your amazing matches, you worked your you-know-what off, there are children here, your derriere off, to get where you are today. But I mean, how did AEW come about? What was the process and how did you get into the company? And then we'll go down the line.
Well, I mean, it started off with getting fired. So that was definitely one of the starting points. But I had been a fan of AEW even prior to being released. I watched constantly and I was always really jealous because the women were getting time and like so many of my friends that I had come up with on the indies were at this promotion, and so I wanted to work there. I saw this product and it was different. It was something that I hadn't seen before in wrestling, and it was very like underground, which is what I liked the most about it. And so honestly, I didn't know as to whether or not they were interested because they hadn't hired a former WWE person as far as a female goes prior to me. So I didn't know if they were interested until, I spoke to Tony. And one of my favorite things that really set the tone for kind of my career here was when I asked Tony Khan what he wanted from me when he was hiring me. And he just literally told me two things. He said, I want you to be yourself and I want you to work for me for a really long time. And I was like, I can do that. And it was the first time anybody had said that to me, is just to be yourself and to do what you want to do the way you want to represent it. And that was huge for me, and it really was very freeing. So it was started something that I have come to cherish very much, and I'm very proud to be a part of AEW.
Love that. What a refreshing take. You be you, boo. Love it. And what was the process like for you?
For me, it was definitely different. I got signed during the pandemic. Basically, I was training at the Power Factory, which is now the Nightmare Factory. And they were starting to do TV tapings at the Power Factory because of not being able to go on the road and travel and not have a lot of talent on hand. So I got a call kind of last minute from QT Marshall, who is my coach and also part owner of the Power Factory, Nightmare Factory. And I got asked to come be a part of the TV tapings, and I got to wrestle Sheeta in Atlanta. And that was super cool, super unexpected. I did not think that I would be there doing that. I don't think anyone did at that time. And then a week later, I got called back to do a dark match at Daly's Place in Jacksonville at another TV taping with no one there. And kind of after that, it just worked out in my favor. I got super lucky and ended up getting signed. So the pandemic was actually a great thing for me, and I couldn't have been luckier.
Can we just talk about the fact that this girl had some of her first matches on national television?
Jeez.
If I did that, I would have never made it past my first day.
Round of applause for that.
So she's a
Yeah.
badass for that. Let me just say that.
Thank you, Britt.
A lot of pressure for sure.
It's terrifying.
What was I? I started independent wrestling in high school. I think I was a senior in high school. And I did it for a couple years, and it was what it was. It was kind of shitty, as independent wrestling is sometimes. And then I remember, I had a Facebook back in the day, and I remember seeing this clip of this tiny little guy, and it had like 1 million views on it, and this guy was blowing up and going viral. And it was a guy named Marco Stunt, if anyone remembers. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This guy's going all over the world. And then a couple months later, I was contacted by the same people who had put on that show that Marco Stunt kind of blew up on. And that was Joey Janela. And I was like, oh my God, if I do this right, I'm going to be the next Marco Stunt. And the way it worked out, it went pretty well. And I also kind of blew up on the indies a little bit. And that was right around the time that AEW was first coming around. And I think they were looking for guys kind of in the style of me, like young indie guys. And yeah, I was contacted by Cody at first, I think. And then I got in with all these guys. And then here we are.
Awesome. Love to hear the origins of your AEW journey. Now, Mr. Brooker is around with the microphone. So if you guys want to get those hands up, we're going to take some questions from the fans. Thank you, Chris Brooker. Brooker C, as we call him. He is not listening to me at all. Paging Chris Brooker. Sorry. And we have a lot of questions here, a lot of hands up.
So many questions, so many hands, but this one's
Yes.
closest, so I'm going to use that
Oh, the
method.
champ. This is Maurice, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Maurice.
Hello, Maurice.
Monopoly regular.
Congratulations on your win, sir.
This is for all three of you. What is your dream match, past or present?
Past or present dream match? Good question.
I'll go ahead. I would say this is kind of past or present, depending on how you look at it. I would have to go with Nikki Bella. I'm not really sure if she's in for another match or not, but that would be cool, past or present. So we'll see.
All right, I'm gonna say something out loud. In this current moment, I would say the Outcast versus Damage Control.
Thank you. I think at some point, and I'm not ready right now, I'm not in shape for it, but I think Will Ospreay for me.
Good choice. Great question, Maurice. Thank you.
Aim high. Fantastic. Questions. You were paying attention. Congratulations. Hand down. Hand down.
Sure. JV, if you had to pick from any British promotion to wrestle, who would it be?
Anyone from any British
for-
promotion?
For Jamie.
Probably this one. This seems pretty good. What do you think?
Progress is a good one.
Progress Wrestling, Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I think so.
Who's down for that? Welcome to the jungle. Why not? Great question. More questions? Just raise your hand. By the way, Nikki Bella is here, Anna, so she must have been listening. Give it up for our cosplayers right here. Looking great. If you have a question, just raise your hand. We've got one here in the front row.
Go ahead.
It's Rory. All right, okay. So Anna touched on wrestling during the pandemic era. How was that for the rest of you in terms of how to change your style and adapt to that? And conversely for Anna, how has she had to change since the fans have been back to learn how to do that?
Yeah, I think probably for everybody, it was pretty bizarre to be wrestling with nobody, because for me, the weirdest part wasn't even the way it looked, but it was the fact that it was silent. Because normally if you're wrestling and it's silent, that's a really bad sign. So you're out here like killing yourself, trying to go as hard as you can, and there's no noise happening except for Billy Gunn's kids, which is weird. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of got used to it after a while, and then it really made me extra appreciate the fans when they got back, and like how much easier the whole thing is when there are people enjoying what you do.
For me, I was obviously somewhere different during the pandemic. So we had these giant screens to wrestle in front of, and it was so bizarre. I can't even explain it, but similar to what JB said, like it helped us appreciate the fans, because again, they're just as much a part of this. Like we do this not just to do it, but we do it for you guys. So it was extra weird. And also I realized the weird noises I make when I wrestle, more so when there's no fans. I'd watch that back and be like, ew, why do you sound like that? So yeah, there was that. That was not my favorite.
Yeah, for me, I would say it was actually kind of been my favorite to start out with no crowds, because that was kind of how I was wrestling anyways. I think I only did about 5 indie shows, and there was probably 20 people at each of those. And then I just was so used to training in front of no one. So for me, it was kind of an easy transition in the beginning, and then to be able to wrestle in front of all these people was honestly weird for me, but super good, super cool. And I think it's just as time goes on, it gets better and I get more used to it. So I think it was actually a good transition for me personally.
Good question.
Yeah, very good question. Mr. Brooker is heading to our next
Hand
question.
shut up. You nearly hurt yourself, my friend. Here we go. Right. Right, for the record, I will hold the mic. Everyone's going to take it off me. I don't share the magic talking
He does
stick.
not
Go ahead.
like sharing the mic.
Hi, it's my name's Christopher. I just want to ask Ruby something. I just want to ask her what was it like being with the Riot Squad at WWE?
I love my girls. Oh my goodness. It was honestly some of the best times in my career. I have made lifelong friends with Liv and Sarah. I live 10 minutes down the road from Sarah. I'm the godmother to her child. I talk to Liv on a regular basis. They are my sisters forever, because we went through something that only at the time we could relate to each other with. So it was a really wonderful thing. And I think I was nervous to be in another 3-person faction after that, because it's hard to top. But I love Tony and Saraya so much, and they've made work so much more fun for me. So they both came into my life at the perfect time.
Love that. Sisters doing it for themselves. Mr. Brooker is looking for our next question. It could be you. Just raise your hand.
I think I'm going to go with this mustard gentleman here.
Colonel
you lean
Mustard
in?
in the arena with the candlestick.
You're going the wrong way. You're making it harder.
Hi. Obviously, with Forbidden Door approaching shortly, and if Stardom is involved, who's your dream opponents?
So I worked for Stardom for about 3 months prior to being signed, and my favorite person to work with that I never got a singles match that I always wanted was Mayu. She's absolutely incredible, and all of those women are some of the most athletic women in the entire world and the most intimidating thing to walk into. But Mayu is so talented and so amazing, and Kairi's awesome too. I love her, and I think I only had 1 singles match with her during the pandemic, but I would absolutely love another one.
would say someone who catches my eye is Gulia. I think she just had the championship match and lost. But yeah, I think she's super interesting and very talented, just like you said all of those girls are. So I think probably her, I would say. Jack?
Who do you want to wrestle in Stardom, JB?
I think I could take any of them, probably.
We're thinking pretty hard there.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep looking up at this screen. I don't even, it's all this UFC stuff. I think. Oh, did he say Forbidden Door? Do I answer this or not?
Sure can.
She's messing with me up here. I think for Forbidden Door, it's probably not going to be Will Ospreay. I think my second would be Hiromu Takahashi, I think.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to keep going.
Or any girl, I don't care.
Yeah, for anyone in Stardom, put them on notice. Great questions, you guys. We have a question over here to the
We
left.
have here, sir, if you'd like to stand up.
Oh, another champion. Congratulations on your
There's a lot of
title win,
champs
sir.
here. Right.
Yes.
Then face
Looks
that way.
heavy.
I'll hold the mic.
What was your guys' favorite feuds and why?
Favorite feud and why?
That we've been a part of or that we've watched?
That they've been a part of or that they've watched? That they enjoyed to watch or that they were a part of? A part of.
I would probably have to say the chick sitting next to me and Ty Mello is probably one of my favorites. It ended with probably one of my favorite matches I've had here in AEW, and they pushed me to my absolute limit. I almost bled out from it, so we didn't come back from that match unscathed by any means. But yeah, it was honestly, it was one of the first opportunities I had to be able to sink my teeth into a feud here in AEW, and I was very lucky to be in that with her and Ty.
I would say that one I liked a lot, but to say something different, I would probably actually say the first street fight that Tainara and I had, which was with the Bunny and Penelope. That definitely ended in a way that I think we were all proud of. And that's still probably one of my favorite matches to this day. So yeah, feud-wise too, that was great. We all got to have singles matches as well, and that's always nice. So yeah, that one, and I loved this one as well. Just almost died in this one, so not really my favorite, but yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
For me, it was kind of multiple things, but I think this whole thing with Luchasaurus and Christian, and it ended up taking so long because Christian had to go hurt himself. But it was a lot of fun by the end of it. And it's cool to work with guys that you've worked with in kind of a different capacity. And then other than that, we had one, the three of us, me, Luchasaurus, and Christian, with Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, which went for a little while, and then we had a big street fight with that one. So those are probably my top two.
Another good question. We've got one over here on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I've got someone here who's a big fan of...
I have a question for Ruby. Why are you such a bitch?
What happened to you, man? Come on, what happened? You used to be so nice and lovely, and now you just hate us for no
I don't know how
reason.
y'all are surprised that we ended up here, if I'm being perfectly honest. Y'all were awful to me since the day I walked in here. And
Awfully good.
good one. Solid. How's your eye, Britt?
Making more money than
How's
yours.
your eye? And cover your kids' ears, but next time ask your pussy boyfriend to actually take care of you.
Hey, that boyfriend, he's probably the biggest star in this building, so sorry, Ruby.
Can we get security and kick them out of
Yeah,
here or
we
what?
need
Hey guys, come here tomorrow for our panel if you want to hear some real wrestlers talk, okay? We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Booker, let's keep a tight hold of that microphone.
That was, that's why I don't let go of the mic, generally.
This is why you don't let go of the mic, Brooker.
I'm sorry. You're not currently have any issues with these people, do you?
Keep it clean, sir,
Okay,
please.
here we go.
please.
This is a question to all of you. Is there a type of match that you dread doing live in front of fans?
Anyone that Britt Baker's involved in.
A type of match, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I'll say this: there's a type of wrestler who likes to just hit you really hard. I don't love those.
Yeah, or anyone who's difficult to work with, maybe. That, I don't know.
Like who? I'm just kidding.
All of them hurt, if I'm being perfectly honest. Everything hurts all the time, especially the older you get. Everything hurts. So I don't dread matches completely, but they all hurt. So you dread, especially the aftermath. Once the adrenaline wears off, that shit hurts. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I got all worked up, my bad.
Now hopefully Brooker is not anywhere near that area. Chris Brooker, where have you gone? There he is, to the left.
I'm so nervous.
Now
Go
the
ahead.
seating chart makes sense, you guys. Why they?
That's why we moved.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a question for Anna J, and that is, what was it like to work with Brody Lee?
Super cool. I mean, then it was an honor. Obviously now even more so, and I cherish the time that I did get to work with him. But yeah, when I first came to AEW, that was the first kind of group that I was a part of, the first thing that I really did, and he was super helpful with me, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I still don't now, but then it was super cool to have someone like him kind of showing me the way and helping me with stuff and watching my wrestling and watching my promos or whatever it was and giving me feedback. So yeah, and then also, like I said, with the BTE stuff, that was also some of the most fun that I've ever had. So yeah, it was a great opportunity to be able to work with him, and like I said, I cherish it now more than ever.
Ruby, you haven't blinked in a while. Are you okay? You all right? You haven't blinked in a while. She's a little, yeah. But see, nice questions like that, we're going to keep on rolling with nice questions. Thank you, sir. We got another question here on the left. Hi there.
I'm hoping for a very nice question.
Yeah, it is, yeah. This is for Ruby, actually. On AEW Access last week, you said something that probably struck a chord with a lot of fans, talking about wrestling being a space as a fan where the first time you felt fully accepted. For a lot of people who here are like maybe trainee wrestlers like myself, at what stage did you feel fully accepted and being able to be fully yourself or turn yourself up to 11, as people say, within your own wrestling training or within your own wrestling journey?
It's really hard because it's a very much a roller coaster journey for me. Because when I first started training, obviously, I had this whole blank canvas to paint with, and I could kind of be who I wanted to be, but I still wasn't sure who I was at the time. And then, obviously, as my indie career kind of happened, I started to kind of fluctuate. If you've been a fan of me for a long time, there's been a lot of looks that hopefully never see the light of day. But then when coming to WWE, it was more so like what was marketable, what was able to be sold. And so I was kind of in a situation where I wanted to be myself, but I was still kind of in this box that I had to kind of go to. So honestly, up until I came to AEW was when I felt fully, completely accepted for exactly who I was, because I was not asked to change in any way. Like, I didn't have to ask permission to change my hair color, to get another tattoo. I could just do that, and I could just be me. So it's taken, up till it took 11 years in order to get to that point. But it's so unbelievably freeing to be able to do that. And it's a fun journey to be able to try new things and to be new people and present yourself differently. And it feels really good when you finally find exactly who you're supposed to be.
We love to hear that. Mr. Brooker's got a question over here to the left.
Question for Ruby. You were at WWE with the Riot Squad. If you was the leader, who would be your dream two partners from the past or present to have as your own faction?
Well, I'm in one currently. I have my dream faction is Saraya and Tony Storm, because we are running stuff. God, I wanted to so bad. I held back children.
Children.
But it's honestly, it's been a blessing to be able to be in a faction with them. They're unbelievable women. They make wrestling so much fun, and they make work so much fun. We're having an absolute blast. But if I had to choose two different people, I would say probably like two people I looked up to for a long time would be probably Jazz and Awesome Kong. They're both retired, but I want them to come out of retirement so bad, just so I can be associated with two badass women. and just be in the background and be like the little chihuahua that like, yeah, get him. So yeah.
We're just talking about Awesome Kong and her awesomeness in Glow Wrestling, and a lot of Awesome Kong fans here, of course. We've got a question here on the left.
We don't touch the mic.
This is for everyone. If you had the chance or opportunity to fight on any wrestling card ever in history, which one would it be?
Any wrestling card ever. Any card.
I want to do the Wembley one in August.
Good answer.
Yeah, I would say honestly any pay-per-view ever. I think being on a pay-per-view is super cool and a great opportunity. So for me personally, just any pay-per-view, I would love to wrestle on.
My answer is actually one that I debuted on. The All Out from 2 years ago, I think, in Chicago. Bryan Danielson debuted, Adam Cole debuted. It was top to bottom one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a really, really long time. That card was amazing. And so to be able to debut on a night like that was a dream come true.
Got a question over here on the left.
This guy, he just moved.
Oh, he moved.
Are you genuinely moving around to try different places to start chants?
One Chant Charlie is really making it work over there.
Admire the work ethic. Here we go.
Hi, my question's to Ruby. Since leaving WWE and going to AEW, what have you noticed as the biggest differences between the company, especially when it comes to women's wrestling?
As far as they're two completely different companies, and I think that shows with the products. They're two completely different products, and it's not to some extent, I guess it's a competition, but it's like you can like both. It's a wild concept, but you can like both if you want. AEW's better, but you can like both. But the difference, I think, I feel like because AEW is pretty much consistently the underdog in every aspect with this little rivalry thing, I think that everybody in the back, all the guys and girls, always have something to prove every night. So it's never just another day at work for everybody. You walk down the hallways and everyone is putting everything into what they're about to do. So I think that's one thing that I consistently see across the board, because constantly being the underdogs, we have something to prove.
Well said.
It's good. I feel you're being victimized a bit at this point, Ruby. Do we have questions? Anyone with a question for someone other than Ruby, just to give you a break for a second? I mean, we'll ask you all night, but any questions for Anna, for Jungle Boy?
Or for the group, yep.
Here we go. Oh, why do I have to know?
Chris is getting those steps in.
Basically, out of all the legend wrestlers on the past and present, who would you really love as a manager for all three of you? If they're alive or past.
That's a thinker.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Who would you want to do your dirty work, is a better way to put it.
I'll say what Ruby thinks that maybe Miss Elizabeth would be good for me. So maybe.
A good little duo, I think.
Yeah, a good duo.
Yeah, a little duo.
Wear sashes that say our names. The wave.
I don't know. I'm going to think on that and I'll come back to you if I get it.
First thing that comes to mind is just because I want to physically abuse him is Mark Sterling. I just want to beat him up. If I lose a match, then I beat him up. If I win a match, then I beat him up. He has a very punchable face. So yeah, I would say that.
Speaking of punchable faces, Chris, do you have another question? Just kidding.
I admire your continuity.
Segue.
So this is an open question. I was just wondering if you had any advice for people trying to get into the industry.
Any advice for up-and-coming wrestlers here in Manchester or beyond?
Don't.
Don't.
No. I think getting trained properly and well is an important part of it. You'd be surprised how many guys show up to do dark matches and are horrible and don't know anything at all, and they're there because they went to MJF's wrestling school. So I think going and learning properly and having a really good foundation helps you wherever you go. So I'd say that.
I'll agree with that. And then also, I think you really just have to love it. And if you do love it, then you should do it because it's not going to be easy every day. It's going to kind of suck. So if you like it, then do it.
I would say, especially when you're starting out, to be seen wherever you can. Like you don't know who's watching that show. You don't know what set of eyes could change your entire trajectory of your career. So get seen wherever you can and just listen. There's so much talent, on the independents and everywhere else that there's so much to learn from. So definitely a lot of that.
Speaking of learning from people, if you guys when you were up and coming, I'll start with you, Jack. Was there anyone that gave you a piece of advice that stuck with you? What was the advice and who was influential in giving you advice early in your career?
I'm trying to think. Independent wrestling, I feel like every time I did it, I came back through and like a million people were trying to give me advice. And a lot of the advice was don't try and do so much cool stuff, which I didn't take because, I don't know. A lot of people have helped me along the way. I think the thing about advice is like not all of it is good and you shouldn't take all of it.
Sure.
So I think take the pieces you want and take into account who you're taking advice from.
Right.
Because when I'm getting advice from a guy who's been wrestling for 50 years and never done anything, I'm like, well, maybe you don't actually know what you're talking about. So maybe So I guess that.
Yeah, I would say I got trained by QT Marshall, and he's just somebody who, to this day, I still work with in AEW, so he's been super influential in helping me and early on. A piece that's kind of random, Tom Pritchard, I went to one of his wrestling camps one time, and I remember he just told me, and this was super early on, I think I was only 3 months in, and he just basically said, like, if you want to do this, kind of like I just said, don't stop. Like, it's going to suck a lot of the time, but just keep going. And that stuck with me, I think, obviously, because I just gave it to you as well.
One of the best pieces of advice that I actually heard recently from my former tag team partner, Sarah, was wrestling is the one thing that you can love more than anything in the world, and it will never love you back. And that sounds real deep and dark, but basically I think what you can take away from that is you gotta love yourself, because the way that this industry works, it's gonna try and cut you down, it's gonna try and make you feel small, and you have to have that confidence within yourself to continue on and to know what you're capable of and what you can do. And you're the only person that can really do that for you. Nobody else is gonna do it, and wrestling sure as hell won't.
Well said. Takes a strong personality. There's a lot of rejection. I don't think people know that going into it, so there's a great advice from you guys. We've got Mr. Brooker over here with another question. Just raise your hand. I can tell when the answers are really interesting because I'm listening and then I lose Brooker. I don't know where he went, so it's all your fault, guys, for being so poignant.
Just a question for Ruby. What's the big difference between AEW and WWE?
We did already get that question, but he might have just kind of came here. Basically, I'll give you the short version, is AEW is the underdogs. We have to prove ourselves every single week to try and make the ratings something that people pay attention to. So I think there's just a locker room full of really hungry guys and girls.
Plus, the differences between AEW and WWE, the letters.
Yeah,
the letters are also very different.
There are W's in both, but that's about it.
Correct. Great question. Brooker's looking for a few more questions here before we wrap up, because we want to make sure that you're meeting all of these lovely folks at their table and getting those autographs in.
That's what we're here for. Take away a memento that will last a lifetime. Speaking of moments.
Hi, I'm Adam, and I wanted to ask you, if you could watch one wrestling match before you die, what match would you watch?
I would be so depressed if the last thing I was doing was watching a wrestling match.
How much time? You have a lot of time before you go. Yeah, put it on. Put on Triple H versus
I guess
Cactus
a long
Jack.
one that's like an hour. That one Kenny had that's like 70 minutes.
That was bleak.
Do you have one you can watch like over and over though? Like one that sticks out, you're like, that's the best.
One of my favorites was that like really grabbed me and got me into wrestling was Ray and Eddie from Halloween Havoc, I believe 97. It was the Riddler gear, whichever one that was, because that was sick. But it was some of the most impressive wrestling that I've ever seen, and it was a style that I loved, which was high flying intensity, but it also told a story. So it's one of the matches I can watch over and over again because it's still as impressive as it was the first time I watched it.
This is kind of random, but I would actually probably say, I can't really think of all the matches right now that I love, but probably the one between the Young Bucks and then Kenny and Hangman. That was one of my favorite matches, and that was like right when AEW kind of started and right when everyone was watching and I wasn't there yet, and I thought that was such a great match, and they're all super talented.
How much do we love Hangman Adam Page? Oh my God. Love him. What a talent. More questions over here on the right.
No pressure. The bar's been set low, mate.
So my question is to Anna Jay, and it's just, obviously you've worked with Brody Lee on the Dark Order, and you're a professional wrestler, and now you're working with Chris Jericho and being a sports entertainer. So what's the difference like being for you, working with seeing them?
I would say being a sports entertainer is way more fun and obnoxious. You kind of just get to be a goofball way more than you have to be serious and actually think. So yeah, both are great, but I'm having fun being a sports entertainer for the meantime.
Question?
Yep, we have
Here
time
go.
for just a couple more.
This gentleman who is representing the Acclaimed, I'll do this now. Yeah. Oh, that was weird.
That is graphic.
My question. Sorry. My question's for Jungle Boy. I'd just like to know, would you like to have a program with CM Punk?
The boy versus the punk.
It's just between us. It's cool.
Oh, thanks. We'd have to see. I don't know.
What on earth is going on with these questions? Crikey,
Manchester
O'Reilly.
is full of controversy.
A lot of cross-examination.
We're kind of here for it.
Here
Only
we go.
time for a few more guys, so get those hands up if you have a question.
Naughty.
So, while you work on a match, what's your thought process backstage? And is there anyone in particular that you like to speak to, whether it's an agent or a wrestler, to help put together the match?
I normally feel super nervous and like, why am I doing this? Whoever your agent is for them, I mean, I don't know. It depends who you talk to. I would say really just your friends in the back. You just kind of talk to them, and I don't really like to talk a lot. I feel like I normally keep to myself whenever I'm thinking about something. And yeah, I pretty much always feel like I'm gonna get sick or something of that sort. Normally Ruby will give me a little pep talk if she sees me and tell me I'm a professional, and I don't agree with her, and that's about it.
Like thought process, who you like to talk to before the match?
I usually throw up in a trash can right before I go.
I watched you do that the other day.
Yeah, that's the last thing I do before I go.
That's a common occurrence? That happens before every match?
Not every. If it's one I don't care about, I don't do it. But
But if you really care, you find that garbage can and you go for it.
pretty much, yeah.
Wow, that's a Comic-Con exclusive. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I like to talk to people. I used to like to talk to Luchasaurus a lot. I feel like working with him a lot, he kind of really knew my style and I guess what I was good at and what I was looking for. I think there are a lot of people, I think, who don't. I think everybody thinks of wrestling kind of differently. And I don't think right before you go is the best time to start talking to Billy Gunn, who hates Canadian destroyers. So I kind of talk to people within my kind of vein of what I'm trying to do for the day.
For me, I'd say I get really, really nervous. I pace a lot. I've done that since the Indies. But as far as like who I talk to, I think one of the people that like grounds me is Eddie Kingston. He's one of those people that if you talk to when you're nervous about something, that will always make you feel like you're making it a bigger deal than what it is. He's like, God, it's wrestling. Relax. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he definitely brings me down when I get real nervous and stuff. So yeah, that's about it.
Really great questions, you guys. It's been amazing, but we're gonna let them get back to the autograph area and take some photos with you guys. So please give a huge Manchester round of applause for Jungle Boy, Anna Jay, and Ruby Soho, your AEW Dynamite panel. Give it up for a Manchester. Thank you guys so much.